ugly. You know, it's what happens though. Age is not a graceful thing sometimes. But look, here on the show, we decided to do our own first take age challenge. So we're going to show everyone's picture and then give a prediction of what you think is going to have happened by the time you look like those pictures. And guys, look, I'm a woman. A lot of us, aging is the scariest thing in our opinion, but I'm a team player.
It's the alternative.
You're good,
no,
Charlie.
Hold on. Don't even try to appease me right now. I look awful.
That's 30 years from now.
I'm
still wrapping those arms.
Listen, I will pay all the money in the world. I don't care what it takes to not look like this, okay? All right, well, you know, let's get my picture off the screen. Ryan, you are up next. Let's see what we got.
Ryan looking like the first player coach of the Washington Generals or something like that.
Muhammad Ali.
The little gray sprinkled in there on the mustache.
What's your take, though? You got a futuristic take?
When this
Luka
picture's a reality?
Doncic will have multiple championships, multiple NBA championships by the time I look like that.
You say so.
Bro, hey, absolutely.
Multiple championships, all in Dallas.
That depends on if
Multiple's a
Porzingis
lot.
can stay healthy. If Porzingis stays healthy, I agree. But Porzingis got to stay healthy.
You'll be all right.
All right, Domonique, you're up next.
I got...
No, hold on. No, we got... Hold on. Yes!
I love that man. Look at that man. That's sexy. Goodness gracious.
You look like you should play like the father in some movie. You know what I mean? Like the old dad. I guess grandfather at that point.
I am an old dad. That's fine, but
somehow your hair is slicked
an old
back.
grandpa. That's an old dad.
You slicked it back.
Oh, and somehow I became Domonique Wilkins. That's impressive. I think there might have been a mistake somewhere along the line. That's fine. Are we sure that's me? It's a beautiful coat, though. But anyway, I was going to say...
All right, so Neek, what you got?
LeBron James will win the MVP, but I'm talking LeBron James Jr. Young Bronny's going to come into the NBA and get him an MVP just like his daddy.
I like that.
Hey.
All right, well, there's only one person up next, Max.
Because in 30 years, I'll be 100.
And I look at you. What? Hold on. What's the difference? This is the age challenge. What's the difference?
Now, I think I will age better than that. It just so happens I'm afflicted with a terrible disease whereby I get more handsome as I age.
You know what they say? They say there's two things that don't stop growing as you age. That's your nose and your ears.
That's just what I needed to hear. Of all the things, that's what I needed to hear. All right, here's my prediction. Tom Brady will fall off the cliff 30 years from now.
Finally.
Listen,
your prediction
let me tell you what's going to come true, and it's going to come true a lot sooner than that. People will recognize what I've been saying now. Kawhi Leonard is the best player.
All right.
By that time?
No. Way before that. Like by the end of next year, people will finally be on the same page as me. Even though in his latest video game ranking, he's tied with LeBron at 97. But right now, Kawhi is the king of the NBA.
Well, that makes sense because I thought that was a selfie. I didn't think that was like enhanced at all. I really don't see a
So
difference.
that's just next year. That's what he's going to look like next year?
That's right, next year. Yeah, if I have to argue with him much more. White hair with these ridiculous.
And just so everybody knows, on the Face app, there's also one where you can make yourself look younger. So maybe tomorrow we spice things up and see what we look like as youngins to compensate for what
we can go back
we just
to a
saw
time
today.
when he was getting upwards of 12 seconds in a game in the NBA.
We're going to pull out the rap videos, Max.
Go back 10 years and
we're going to pull out the rap videos.
Sometimes he might even get 12, 13 seconds in a game.
How'd your nose
Those are the good
get
old
bigger?
days.
Isn't that a shame?
How'd your nose get bigger? How'd they fit that thing on the screen?
And so I told you, they don't stop
30 years
noses.
from now, that's me at 75, so don't forget I'm older than you, so I get to look older.
You look so jolly, though. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be so much better looking than that by that age if I live that long.
You can come to the plastic surgery center with me if need be.
Never.
Don't do it.
Hey,
Don't fight
look.
it. It always ends up looking worse. Just go ahead and let it happen.
I know
It looks worse.
anything's an improvement
Once you get to
right
a
now.
certain age, you can't keep fighting it. Just let it go.
We'll let the hair go white. Just do it. Yep.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit, all right? Unless we want to keep talking about this all show long. But, all right, we are 50 days from the start of the 100th NFL season when the Bears host the Packers. Oh, hold on. 100 days. We're 100 days from the first game. Wait, hold on.
Not
50 days.
50
days.
No, I was right.
50 days from the start of the 100th season.
There we go. Sorry. 50 days from the start of the 100th NFL season. Got it. When the Bears host the Packers. All right. Some NFL training camps getting started today, including the Broncos, Cardinals, Ravens, and Seahawks. So let's rip through some rapid-fire NFL topics. All right. First on the chopping block, which NFL rookie is best set up for success?
I like Josh Allen. He is a pass rusher from Kentucky. He's more than a pass rusher, frankly. He's an outstanding athlete. I think you could argue that maybe the fit isn't perfect down there in that 4-3. You might think of him more as a 3-4 type of guy, but he's great at rushing the passer. He can also cover. But why I really like him is he's going down to an excellent defense, and he's not going to get double teamed because they already have Yannick Ngakoue. They have Calais Campbell. They have Marcel Darius. And on third downs and passing downs, which is just about every down in the NFL, he's going to be able to go one-on-one with tackles and defensive ends. I think he's going to put up impressive sack numbers.
I think Nick Bosa, because first of all, he's unstoppable. He's like one of these guys. You're not going to stop him off the edge. And then you have Jimmy G, who looks like he's going to be ready for week 1. And if that's the case, they should win more games than last year. And Nick Bosa will get some of the credit for that because of the pass rush. I like Bosa.
I like Kyler Murray in that Cliff Kingsbury air raid offense. We see how he developed guys like Patrick Mahomes for him. The entire system, the organization is set all around Kyler Murray. He has no option but to succeed.
Yeah, but they, even if they improve by a couple games, they're way under 500.
You're going to see as far as rookies, you're going to see some monster games out of Kyler this morning. I
think he's the first pick and he's a quarterback, so people are going to want to give him it. It's going to be his to lose, but I think that the Kingsbury curve is going to be tough for him to overcome and not having much support as far as receivers, running back, and that defense. It's a lot for a rookie.
Don't let Dwayne Haskins win that job at some point this year because he has a chip on his shoulder, and that dude put up numbers.
Yeah.
At a top, throwing the ball down the field.
50 touchdowns.
Put up crazy numbers against very few interceptions, kept getting better, and has something to prove this year.
All right, let's take a look at Denver now. Will new QB Joe Flacco lead the Broncos to the playoffs?
I think he does. I think they get the wild card. I like that defense. Joe Flacco's no slouch. He may not have been as impressive as everybody would have liked, but I still love Joe Flacco in this situation. He's still a Super Bowl champ, and as we've seen, Max Kellerman, quarterbacks can improve with age. They can still get the job done.
Yeah, but not Flacco. Flacco's not been good for a long time. Look, Eli Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. If Eli Manning if I'm in a bar with him, he can't pay for a drink because he brought my beloved Super Bowl Giants 2 Super Bowl championships with 2 of the biggest clutch plays I've ever seen. But he has stunk for years. Get rid of him. I'm not sentimental about this stuff when it's time for a dude to go. Flacco hasn't been good.
Who's the better athlete, though?
Flacco hasn't even been good for a long time. The Broncos do not make the playoffs.
Who's the better athlete, though?
Yeah.
Flacco's a bigger arm.
Yeah, Flacco's best play came in Mile High Stadium. So maybe if he can channel that play for his entire career there, he could. But my money is on them not going to the playoffs, at least not him leading them there, because you're right, he hasn't been very good.
And you got the Chiefs and the Chargers in the division.
Yeah, it's what we talked about earlier.
So it's a wild card. Give him the wild card.
Well, one of them's going to have to get the wild card. So,
right.
Yeah.
So 3 teams from the same division are going. We just had Louis Riddick on here telling us that the Raiders will be better than the Broncos.
A little optimistic.
All right. New Jets running back Le'Veon Bell had over 1,200 rushing yards in his last season of 2017. Fellas, will he gain over 1,000 rushing yards this season?
Bruh, I haven't seen an easier guarantee. The one thing about Le'Veon Bell is he's a patient runner. This isn't a guy that just goes out and uses brute force with his running style. He's going to use his blocks, and he's going to get more than enough touches in this Jets offense.
I think it's a closer call than you think, but I'm also going to take him. I'll take the over on 1,000 yards. I think he'll get that. Because Le'Veon Bell, you can split him out wide. Yeah. You can put him in the slot. Who's the best receiver on the Jets? Right? So you got a young quarterback. He can catch passes out of the backfield, but you can actually line him up at several different receiver spots, the offense. But in terms of purely rushing the ball in this league, I'll take the over, but I think it's a closer call than you think. And by the way, about his patience and everything, Le'Veon Bell has been, he is not as athletic as some of the top flight, young, explosive running backs. But when he's been on the field, he's been the best running back of his generation so far. He is a brilliant, you talk about patience. He can do every single thing you want a running back to do. He's a great player. 1,000 yards rushing, yes, but not as easy as
I think it's a close call because I think he's coming off of a year where he may not have kept himself in the best condition. He's always been a guy who's had injuries pop up here and there. That could happen too. And again, the biggest strike against him putting up 1,000 rushing yards is that he's a receiver. So they're going to take the ball they're not going to hand it to him. They might throw it to him. So I'm going to go for the over just because I normally trust talent, but I think it won't be a close call, but I do think he'll be a net positive, even if it's offense.
I know he's done his wild stuff off the field, but I think when you watch him run, he's intelligent and smart enough to know that if I have a big guy I'm going at, I'm quicker than the big guys and I'm stronger than the little guys. So it's really a pick your poison type of situation with Le'Veon Bell. And I mean, you talked about fresh legs. Obviously, you're questioning the conditioning, but I mean, I think this guy knows exactly what he needs to do to get up. He's young enough.
But you also do the Jets have the kind of offense where they're going to be able to run the ball a ton late in games?
We always talk about how Ben Roethlisberger benefited from having Le'Veon Bell and having Antonio Brown. Le'Veon Bell also benefited from having Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. He doesn't have in that offensive line. He doesn't have any of those things in New York. But I'm betting on his talent.
Well, Dom, what's the quarterback's best friend?
A good running game.
And a safety blanket in the passing game. He knows that anytime Sam Darnold can dump it off, and then this guy's going to
but that's why he might have a ton of yards. But as a receiver, if the Jets are behind in the game, late in the game, you're using Le'Veon Bell as a receiver as much as a running back.
Who's the offense? Safe to say. This guy's the entire offense. I think he walks into 1,000 yards.
Oh.
How are the Jets going to do in the division?
Patriots going to win the division. That's
By the way, their
division.
Guys, the Patriots are running unopposed. That's the thing about the Patriots. If you look at a list of quarterbacks throughout Belichick-Brady's marriage in the AFC East, it's a joke. Like, you find the biggest names you can find. You feel like an ancient Vinny Testaverde. Like, it's a joke.
I would have a problem with them running unopposed if they hadn't been there before. They didn't know what the preparation to get to a Super Bowl looks like. And that is actually the best scenario. They're stepping in with fresh legs. They're not going pound for pound and beating their bodies up week after week. There are some younger teams where you say, man, they need the competition. They need the tight games. They've got to stay fresh. But, man, you can't have problems with New England.
A lot of people have been talking about Rob Gronkowski maybe coming back. What do you think? Is that really a possibility?
It's absolutely a possibility. I would say it's less than 50%. Like, I think I would say if I were to have to bet on this, I'd say he wouldn't come back. But it's absolutely a possibility. And I think that players, when they retire, you don't miss it during training camp. You don't even miss it during the regular season. You may miss hanging out with your guys. You miss it when they're about to kick it off in a playoff game, a championship game, or something like that. When all the chips on the table, when everyone's excited and everyone's amped up, that's the only time when you miss it. So I think that if Rob thinks about coming back, it won't be for a while. It won't be towards the end of the season.
How old were you when you decided not to play?
28. Oh, yeah. It hurts.
What goes through your mind when you decide to retire and then you're not out there?
I think most guys, at least in football, it seems more recently, a lot of guys are ready to retire when they retire. They aren't getting forced out like they used to have to be. I remember my rookie year, Jerry Rice was in our training camp. Yeah. He had been playing for 20 years. Like, he had to get run out of the league. That's not the way guys think anymore. I think it's a combination of the increased money and also increased awareness for head injuries and stuff. But once I signed my second contract and then I tore my ACL, I kind of looked at the rest of my life and was like, well, am I going to keep doing this or is it time to move on? It was time for me. I'm not sure that Gronk.
The difference between you and Gronk, like Gronk looks like a dude who likes the contact. Here's the thing about Gronk. If someone said, I know Tony Gonzalez and other guys, but if I had to pick a tight end to make my all-time team, I'm taking Gronk. I'm not even thinking twice about it.
I agree.
You saw the contributions he made just as a physical tight end, not even as a pass catcher last year in the playoffs. This dude is just different. Now, if he weren't already practicing with Tom Brady, I would say he's going to stay retired, and I wish him the best. Right. But the fact that he's already out there catching passes from his quarterback, that this is a Super Bowl contender, that they've won so many Super Bowls, they've had more success late in Gronk and Brady's career than Brady ever had early in his career, even when they won 3 out of those 4 Super Bowls, right? Like, it's been insane how good they've been recently and the kind of standard they've set. Now, all it's going to take is Brady to tell Gronk, I need you. And then what's Gronk going to say, Domonique?
Yeah, I mean, He's going to say yes. I think it seems so un-Belichickian because what we know about Belichick is it's kind of old school, like you're with us from beginning to the end. I'm sure he's made plenty of allowances for Gronk, and I'm sure he might make another one. But Gronk isn't the same Gronk, and maybe it's a part because he played a lot of last season. But when we watched him in the playoff game, it seemed like they did not want to throw him the ball unless they absolutely had to because he looked so like.
Check this out.
But
though.
he was laying guys out on blocks.
But what makes him special is not that he can lay guys out on blocks, it's that he can do that and also be the go-to guy on the biggest plays of the season.
Absolutely, but I think we're overlooking this. Who's the guy who just left Monday Night Football because he had the itch to play in the NFL again? Jason Witten, one of the greatest receivers.
Well, and that's also probably because he was guaranteed a lifetime position with the Cowboys, is my guess.
But my point is the itch. Getting the itch halfway through the season. You know he's going to be around the organization, still lives in the area. He could come back and play. And the thing we talked about earlier, they know the formula for success. So if his body gets up to condition, he's feeling good, I think he goes out and makes a run.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. But I think the Jason Witten is an odd comparison because I think there are a ton of other variables that went into Jason Witten going back to football, and I don't think they apply to Gronk.
I just say in the sense of just this guy wants to be on the field.
In certain respects, like Witten was always open even when he had no separation kind of guy. He was a good, and Gronk at his, and Witten was an excellent player. Gronk now is probably better than Witten's ever been.
I was going to say, Witten's a good player, but Witten's not in the same conversation.
But that's what I'm saying about like the value Gronk